Thank you for joining me on the journey. This is Completed Christianity. So welcome back. Another episode of Being Complete. And today is Shabbat. So our validation of the law commentary. And we are going to be continuing in the book of Romans. And today in Romans chapter 2, we're going to be talking about judgment. The righteous judgment of the Father and the unrighteous judgment of man. So let's take a look at this. So boom, and here we go. So Romans chapter 2, and we're gonna have to flash back to the end of Romans chapter 1 because this is just a continuation. But therefore, O man, you are without excuse, everyone who judges, for in which you judge another, you condemn yourself, since you who judge practice the same wrongs. So the O man, therefore O man, who is it talking about? Who is this man? And this has been debated about probably for centuries. And some commentary writers, even in the 1800s, 1700s, they mentioned that, some think that it's talking about Jews, and some things talk about the Gentiles, the unsaved, the heathen, and some, these believers, talking about other believers or the magistrates of their time. So we're going to just go back to the context and let him answer who he's talking about for himself. So just like the interpretation of anything, context. So when we come back here, verse 25, who changed the truth of the mighty one into falsehood and worshipped and served what was created rather than the creator, who is favored forever. So those who worship what is created, then rather than the creator. So when you're worshiping what is created, that's even like worship of self. So these people that he goes on to describe down here, that gave themselves over to degrading passions and exchanged the natural relations, and goes on that these kind of people, as well as others, that there are all of these things that in this list that he gives, all these things. And then down here at the bottom, he says, though they know the righteousness of the mighty one, that those who practice such deserve death, not only do the same, but also approve of those who practice them. So he's going to continue this on, that not only do the same, okay, that practice and not only do the same. He's going to continue that thread on. So he's talking about these people who worshipped the creature rather than the creator, and they left the knowledge of the creator for all these things, all these base things, these elementary principles of the world, if you will. So we'll go back over here. And so therefore, oh man, it's these people who have engaged in unrighteousness. And he says, therefore, O man, you are without excuse, every one who judges, in which you judge another, you condemn yourself, since you who judge practice the same wrong. So back to what he just said, you do the same. And so these people who have worshipped the creature rather than the creator, and gone away from the knowledge of the Father, strayed away, as it says, they're straying away. It says that in the last chapter. And so these people, people who do wrong, are also people who are judgmental and judge other people for doing wrong. So he's saying that here, that you're without excuse because you're in the wrong too. So you're without excuse to judge somebody else who's in the wrong. So you're without excuse, everyone who judges, for in which you judge another, you condemn yourself, since you practice since you who judge practice the same wrongs. And we know that the judgment of the Mighty One is according to truth against those who practice such wrongs. So the Father has a righteous judgment according to truth, which is His law. His law is the only truth. It's not your truth, my truth. It's His truth, which is His law, His Torah. Psalm 119, 142, your righteousness is righteousness forever, and your law is truth. So, and do you think, O man, you who judge those practicing such wrongs and doing the same, that you shall escape the judgment of the Mighty One? Or do you despise the riches of His kindness and tolerance and patience, not knowing that the kindness of the Mighty One leads you to repentance? So, we don't want to despise His kindness, because it's His kindness that leads us to repentance. But that would be somebody who doesn't want to be led to repentance. They like their sin, then yeah, they're going to be despising of this kindness because they don't want to go that direction. They want to keep their sin. But according to your hardness and unrepentant heart, you're treasuring up for yourself wrath in the day of wrath and revelation of the righteous judgment of the Mighty One. So when you're in this state, you have you like your sin, you have hardness of heart, and you're unrepentant in heart. And so you treasure up yourself wrath for the day of wrath. The day of wrath and revelation. So the day of wrath from the Father, and revelation, the revealing of the Son, of the Messiah at His second coming. So, storing up for yourself wrath and day of wrath and revelation, day of wrath and revelation of the righteous judgment of the Mighty One, who shall render to each according to his faith. To each according to his works. Okay? It's not faith alone. It's faith plus works. I dealt with this back in the debunk series that I did that was 30-something parts. It's just like James says, faith without works is dead. So if you're just your faith alone in Messiah alone, then you got a dead faith. That's the Protestant mantra started by Martin Luther. It's faith alone in Messiah alone. So, but that's not what the book of James says. It says that faith is by works and not by faith only. So, rendered each according to his works. So this is the first, works-based salvation quote that we get here. And let's see, this comes from Psalm 62:12. So that's the reference on that. Anytime in this version, the scripture is 2009, it says, anytime it's in bold, it's quoted from what we call the Old Testament, the pre-Messianic scriptures. So, shall render to each according to his works. So we're going to get back to that here in a minute as well, because salvation is twofold. It's that, as we've talked about many times, you're saved by faith in Messiah's atoning work, and your faith in that work is what basically gets you into the Father's house. You can't do it on your own. It doesn't matter how well you keep the law. It doesn't matter how many rules of the Father you obey. You first have to be born again, back into the Father's house. Okay? Now, once you're born in the Father's house, you're in the Father's house. And now, as you grow and you grow and you grow, then what does any father say? My house, my rules. So it's his house, it's his rules. So, Everlasting life to those who by persistence in good work seek for esteem and respect and incorruptibility. So right here, he's saying that everlasting life goes to those who by persistence in good work. So good work, the only work is the works of the law. But the works of the law by themselves can't save you. You got to have the blood of Messiah and faith in that, believing that the Father is, and that He's a rewarder of those who the rewarder of those who diligently seek Him. And so you got to have all this stuff working together. It's not faith against the law, it's faith and law working synergistically together. So by persistence in good work, everlasting life goes to those people who seek for esteem, respect, and incorruptibility, but wrath and displeasure on those who are self-seeking and do not obey the truth, but obey unrighteousness. Affliction and distress on every human being working what is evil, to the Yehudi first, to the Jew first, and also to the Greek. But esteem, respect, and peace to everyone working what is good. Okay, what is good? The only thing that is good is what the Father says is good, which is His law. To the Jew first, the Yehudi first, and also to the Greek. So, and here again, he refers to that it's the Jew first, the Jew first, and then the Greek. So those of the Jews who do evil, they're gonna get theirs first, as it says, because it came to them first. The scriptures came to them first. It came through them. It didn't come through them because they were the best, they were special. It came through them because they were the worst. They were the kind of tribe of the despised. They were the base, the lowly. According to going back, to Babylonian cultures and beyond, they had these great and grand cultures as they saw them, but the Hebrews, they were just nomadic kind of Bedouins. They were the people you didn't want to be. So Yah chooses them so that those of us that are of more sophistication, we're to lower ourselves to become a Hebrew and not exalt ourselves in what we are. So to the Jew first and to the Greek, for there's no partiality with the Father. So the Father's not going to favor the unrighteous Jew, and He's not going to favor the unrighteous Greek. Just because the Jew's a Jew, his sin's not going to get passed over. There's no partiality. Everybody's the same. For as many sinned without the Torah, the law, shall also perish without Torah. As many as sinned in the Torah shall be judged by the Torah. For not the hearers of the Torah are righteous in the sight of the Mighty One, but the doers of the Torah shall be declared right. There's our next works-based salvation verse in this, that the doers of the law, the doers of the Torah shall be declared right. So when we back up here, for as many as sinned without Torah shall also perish. Okay, and so we have three groups here between 12 and 14. We got those without the Torah, and those that are with the Torah, and those who basically are a Torah to themselves. And so those without the Torah that sin, they're still going to be judged by the Torah in the end. Judgment before the Father. Yeah, there's no tick box where you just opt out. Oh, I didn't know. No, you're still going to be judged by the Torah, and those, and as many as sinned in the Torah. Okay, so these would be people in the Torah, like the Israelites, the Jews, and they sinned in the Torah. They're also going to be judged by that. And so the judgment is death. That's why we need Messiah. He paid that death so that we can live. That's why we need his blood applied to us, because that blood signifies that death, wipes out that death penalty. So, for not the hearers of the Torah are righteous. So you can hear the right thing all you want, but you got to do the right thing to be declared right. So you can believe and be born into the Father's house, but then you got to do what the Father says to stay in the house, or you're going to get kicked out. So for when nations who do not have the Torah by nature do what is in the Torah, although not having the Torah, they are a Torah to themselves. So he's saying that the Gentiles, people, heathen, if you by nature do those things that are in the Torah, which I don't know how that any culture is like that they just naturally do all these things. But, I think he's just kind of throwing this out there that even if you didn't know and you did all these things, then you're a Torah to yourself, So because then, like it says, who show the work of the Torah written in their heart. So that's where the law is to be. It's to be written on our heart, because our heart is the place that's vulnerable. That's the place that is not just vulnerable. What's the word? Can't. So it's the place where you're vulnerable. It's a place where you can be, where you're sensitive. That's the word I'm looking for. So for when nations who do not have the Torah by nature do what is in the Torah, although not having the Torah, they are a Torah to themselves, who show the work of the Torah written in their hearts, their conscience also bearing witness, and between themselves their thoughts accusing or even excusing. In the day when the Mighty One shall judge the secrets of men through Yahshua Messiah, according to my good news. So he's saying that the day when the Mighty One shall judge the secrets of men. So this is the sins, the things that people don't want known. That the Mighty One's going to judge those things on this day, on Judgment Day, on the days when Messiah returns. These things for the righteous, they're going to be judged at this time. And these secrets are going to be judged through Yahshua Messiah. And he says, according to my good news. Like, well, I thought the good news or the gospel is the gospel of the kingdom. And this kind of lends into, the fuel for the anti-Paul crowd. They say, see, he's got his own gospel. He's got his own good news. Yeah, but what he means by this is that his gospel that he preaches to the Gentiles, to the nations, and that good news is that Messiah has come, and now you can come back to the covenants of promise, because these people that they're going out talking to, by and large, these people are Israelites. They're not just run-of-the-mill Gentiles. They're the lost 10 tribes. They didn't come back after their Assyrian captivity. They liked their pagan nations, their pagan ways, and they stayed there. And Yah, in Jeremiah chapter 3, Yah divorces them, gives them a writ of divorce, but in that same chapter he calls them to come back. But they've already been defiled by another, by other idols. They've already committed this adultery. And the law says he can't take them back. But he calls them to come back to him. But Romans, in the book of Romans, when we get to chapter 7, he deals with that and how that is reconciled, and that the breach that is made by the divorce, that breach is repaired. And so we'll get in that when we get to Romans 7. So this right here, it tells us about the judgment. And so the judgment is going to be that which the Father gives us on Judgment Day according to his righteousness, according to our works. Okay? We can't get in the house on our own merit. We have to first believe. But believe in the atoning work of Messiah through his blood, then we get in the house. But then we have to work out our salvation with fear and trembling. Psalm 89:34, my covenant I will not break, nor alter the word that has gone out of my lips. If you like the video, give us a thumbs up. Comment down below. Comments of opposition are welcome. Just don't say anything dumb like we're not under the law, we're under grace, because you've been taught to use that verse outside of the bounds of its intended context. Subscribe now. Smash that subscribe button and ring that bell so that you get notifications of all future videos.